I like the way you started the show. Just we were in mid conversation, Dave, and we just went straight live. Then
No heads up.
no heads up. We were just talking, and he just started the countdown. But it's okay.
You like that, didn't you? It's like, hey, keep on your toes, fellas. Gotta keep on your toes.
Exactly. Well, we are back. We are back. It's Wednesday, hump day. So you know what time it is. Hello, world. It's your man, Jeff A. Smith, jumping off once again on Jump Off Live. And welcome to episode number 32. Would that be the Magic Johnson episode, JD? Was that his number?
Okay, that works for me.
Okay, cool. I just thought about that. You want me to come up with a clever way to work the number into the show, or a meaning behind the number?
I mean, we could use magic in the discussions today.
We go Shaq, you know.
Yeah, Magic Shaq. Yeah. Magic, Orlando Magic. Yeah, it's all magic.
Wasn't some black girl magic tonight?
Yeah.
Hey, for
Magic episode
32, Neil Anderson, Bears, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir.
On tonight's episode, we're going to be discussing Bonnet Gate, the controversy spearheaded by Monique and Kevin Samuels. We're also going to parlay that into a conversation about relationships. So get your fingers ready so you can type up those comments and those questions in the chat tonight. I'm sure it's going to be on fire. As always, you can tune in live every Wednesday, as you're doing right now, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on our Jump Off Live YouTube channel. There you'll also find our past episodes, after parties, and anything but interview series. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell. You can also catch us on Zingo TV, channels 249 and 250. Shout out to the whole Zingo TV and Spanglish Network family as well, too. You can download that Zingo TV app, available on the iOS and Google Play stores. If you're on the go, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. We're everywhere, people. So there's no excuses for missing an episode. Shout out to all the fans in the chat. And as always, please be sure to keep your comments clean so we can post them on the screen. Special shout out to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris for signing Juneteenth in as a national holiday last week. That was very monumental. So I want to definitely give props for that. Long overdue.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Yeah.
All the bitter black people who are talking about it ain't enough. Man, progress takes time.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing us to have some progress.
Yeah. I
mean, can't get everything at once.
Yeah. It's a step in the right direction.
It is, most definitely.
And it's the first.
Speak your mind. Speak your mind, Doc.
Okay, so I mean, I liked that Juneteenth was something that was kind of like how underground hip hop was back in the day. Like it was our thing. It was our thing, like and it's just going to be commercialized stereotypes, right? It's going to be things that people think that defines blackness from an outside perspective. I think we legitimized it once we started doing things as a collective, and I'm glad that I want it to be taught in a respectful way. But when I see stories like IKEA serving fried chicken and watermelon on their menu in honor of Juneteenth, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
I didn't hear about that. That's legit?
Yeah, that's legit.
Fried chicken and watermelon, huh?
And green.
Yeah, and green.
With a Kool-Aid washback.
Don't forget the call.
So I would have loved to have seen the Juneteenth tied to a little bit, just touch some reform somewhere, maybe pick a topic. So I just feel like let's do something. If we can't handle policing, let's talk about fetal mortality of black babies, or let's tie it to the fact that black households are not wired. So because of that, children are basically behind in most black households because they don't even have access to the internet. So I'm just like, put it with something. Just make a sandwich. I would have liked a Juneteenth sandwich. Give us the holiday, but give us something too. And then we could really have a bigger celebration, So
you said they just gave us a slice of bread, but we couldn't even fold none up.
This is the giant slice of bread right now.
Oh, okay.
Next year.
Well, it's a slice of bread, right? But still.
Understandable. Yeah, I do hope. I do hope that it leads to something bigger and better, like you said. This is
Next
actually.
year, if I go to Target and I see some T-shirts when I walk in that are red,
Kente cloth Juneteenth shirts at Target.
If I walk into the super Walmart store and I see that,
it's popping, man. It's on and popping.
It's gonna be there.
I mean, that's capitalism at its best, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
people
true.
people are gonna try to take advantage of stuff whenever they can. So they're gonna commercialize and monopolize it. I think that's why it's up to us to teach the people who we know and who we can teach what it was all about and the real reasons behind it and not the commercial aspects of it.
Very true. Right. This is the first federal holiday since 1983 when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day became a holiday under President Reagan. So it's been a while since they've enacted any type of federal holiday. So it's been a minute. I like this because as far as federal holidays are concerned, the biggest one for us has always been Dr. King Day, and it's really honoring his legacy, the man, and attached to that the civil rights movement, things of that nature. But I feel like this is more inclusive of American descendants of slavery. So hopefully it can bring us further together, and if nothing else, further educate our own community and our children, from that perspective. So we'll see. Definitely some controversy attached to it. Well, I'm joined here. We got it popping already by the rest of Team Jump Off and an honorary member of Team Jump Off. Might as well say that right now. First and foremost, we have the man, the myth, the legend, that dude named Dave. What's popping, that dude?
Hey man, I'm doing all right. Having some first world problems over here with my equipment. My mixer died.
First world problems?
I'm gonna say first world problems. I can't complain. People are gonna be like, yo, you complained about that, but no, my mixer died. So I went ahead and had to buy a backup mixer too. I had to get my other one replaced right now. Extended warranties, they're worth on equipment, baby.
Yeah.
So, but check it out though. Boxing Now. We interviewed a new prospect, Jerron Real World. It's up on our YouTube page there. Young prospect, 6-0-1, 3 knockouts. He got a fight coming up next month. So we got a chance to get to know him out of Philly, and try to break him around to the new world here. So check that out.
Nice. You all picked a great time to start that Boxing Now podcast, because I feel like boxing is back, man. I know it was kind of the UFC was kind of, but it's like every week it's one or two fights that's worth watching. So
the problem now is the fact that there's so many fights. So when me and Jorge get together to sit down, it's like, okay, what can we talk about? And it's like, boom, boom, boom. When we first got started, it's like, okay, we're gonna be creative and talk about some old fight. Now it's like, man, this ain't gonna make it this week.
Yep. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Next up, we have fresh off of fumes from working all day. JD. He's on fumes. Not on fumes, but you know what I mean.
I'm running on fumes.
That's what it is. I don't want to put the wrong narrative out there. He's not using
fumes, JD.
He's running on fumes.
We might build engines, but I'm not
We gotta gas him up then. If he's running gotta gas him up.
Oh man, no, I'm good. I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to be on the show. Happy to get this popping. So let's do it.
Yes, sir. Next up with another new backdrop. It seems like every last 3-4 episodes he's in different secret locations. Johnny Dangerous. What's popping, Johnny Dangerous?
What's up, man? What can I say? I'm a traveling man. What's up, everybody? Hey, shout out to Stevie, Dorothy. I see you. Christina was on there. Who else did we just see pop up on there? I see
Eduardo
from Spanglish World. Shout out to Spanglish.
The boss.
Yeah, we see y'all, man. We see y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in every single week. It's hump day, like Jeff said. We're gonna get y'all over the hump. Got an exciting show today, so let's do it, y'all.
Oh yeah. Last but not least, special guest, honorary member Team Jump Off, Dr. Zoe Stallings. This is her. Is it the third time on the show? Because I lose count.
Yes.
Okay, third time on the show, gracing us with her expertise yet again. We really appreciate you being on. How is things going in your world? Must Clinic and all that.
Must Clinic. It's been busy. I'm blessed, booked, and busy. These B's.
I like that triple B.
Okay.
Yeah, the triple B. It's just been very impressive how people have been kind of like taking their health more seriously. So they're reaching out. They're making appointments. So I'm busy with that. And then I've gotten into the tech world a little bit. So I designed an app and
watch out now.
I know. I stay busy. Yeah.
Is it a Must Clinic app or is it a separate app?
Like it's bigger. It's a community app. So that way, you kind of connect a little bit differently to different, like let's say you have a question for your physician, but you already left the office and you can't make another follow-up appointment. We have something to solve that problem. So more to come.
So you ain't got to try to talk to the nurse and the nurse talk to the doctor. They get back to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Look at you innovating in the field.
Innovating, yeah.
Wonderful.
Hey, that's probably you must not have heard me the first time. So, that's what's up. I like that.
I'm gonna have to use that.
Yeah.
I can see folks using that app excessively though. Like, hey doc,
Yo, but you know what? It's already
this
existing.
rash.
I got this
Man. I don't know if you've been on Clubhouse, but people are in Clubhouse asking questions that I'm listening to Clubhouse rooms, and I'm just like, no, seriously, you need to see somebody about that. Like, that should not. That's not a room. That's not a Clubhouse question.
That's a life or death question right there.
Yeah. Take this offline.
Seek medical attention immediately.
Like right now. Hang on. Go get help.
All right, that dude, what you got for us?
Okay, so we invited Dr. Zoe up here because we didn't want to be 4 black men.
Right.
4 men talking about dating, especially a couple of things that's been coming out on social media online lately, especially in the black community. So let's just level set out here. We're talking about dating in 2021. We've had other shows talking about, Kevin Samuels. We talked about Derek Jackson. And
with an X. Jackson with an X.
Let's get it right. Derek Jackson, who I don't really rock with anyway. But anyways, so we're talking about bonnets and women wearing bonnets. So Monique really had a hot take when she basically stated that black women, she was at the airport and that black women should not be wearing bonnets. It brings out a poor representation of us as in general, and the image that showcases us. And also another step further, as far as like dating and as far as out in the streets, do men really would approach a woman who's wearing a bonnet? So you see back and forth discussion. There's Kevin Samuels, who has his multiple videos, who talks about that as well, and how women have a certain reception to wearing their bonnets. So I brought this to the fellas. I'm thinking, how can we talk about this from a woman's perspective, from a male's perspective, as well as from a dating perspective altogether here? So let's open the floor here. I don't want to go into long details about this here. So let's open up to each and every one of everybody here as far as bonnets. Now, fellas, let's start with Zoe first. She's a woman on the panel here. So
I'll start.
Yeah, let's start with you here. Sorry, you're not on here all the time.
Okay, let's start here.
Go ahead.
Wow. Oh, she got
Let's start with the bonnet.
That's the leopard bonnet.
I mean, you can still, my thing is, I always say it's the package, right? So you see, I think what many times we're very quick to criticize black women, right? My concern here is, what is a bonnet representing for us? What does it mean for us? And so we've always had to try to dress up to fit in when we leave. So when we are in those streets, let's say the streets, and we're in the streets and we're out there, I think that's when I put my guard on. That's when I'm really on. I'm trying to, I code switch at times, and I'm trying to be all these things. But when I'm going to get my hair done, if I'm going to go get my nails done, I forgot something at the grocery store, and I just want to throw my bonnet on, it's not an issue for me how I look in that moment. And if I meet a man, I have worn my bonnet out, and I still see a gentleman. It's about the countenance, because this bonnet you see on me is cute. I still get hollered at in my bonnet. Okay. It's the general countenance, but if you're on your phone and you're popping off at the mouth and you're loud and you're rude, no matter what you do with yourself, nobody's going to approach you. But what I think is difficult sometimes is that we often, as black women, set the tone for several other cultures to follow. So when Rihanna went out with the hairpins in the hair, with a wrap that was still wet, and went to the award ceremony, shortly after that, people started to wear that. And cornrows. I remember I saw Kylie was in one of the fashion magazines with cornrows and Timbs, and they thought she created this. I just think that, and I've seen this same idea of the bonnet being sold with being described on an infomercial with, look, it has a silk lining. It prevents your hair from breaking. This is a new sleep cap. And I was like, it's the same old bonnet. Yeah. But what I think needs to happen is sometimes we just need to just let people be, right? Now, you show up in a bonnet for an interview, that's a problem, right? There's certain spaces where you're expected to show certain professionalism, but this bonnet of mine is this Mahala bonnet. If I'm running around and I just need to say I'm off the clock, I'm not impressing anybody today. Can a black woman just be a black woman today and relax into her skin? I'm appealing to the broader audience to understand I don't need to be judged right now. So whether I'm in the airport, I remember Oprah did a whole show. Oprah Winfrey did a whole show about how to travel and to be comfortable. And there were experts on her show telling people to wear things that were not flammable and easy to jump over a seat should the plane crash. So I think the airport is not the place for you to necessarily have to worry about impressing people. We got COVID, we have all kinds of things. People are fighting in the airports nowadays. So I think that I hear the idea of our image is one that needs to be protected. But the reason is that who are we presenting ourselves to? So if you are dating and you show up in a bonnet, no, I mean, a man might not take you seriously or ask you out, but maybe that's the intention. Maybe today I just need to be off the clock and be in my bonnet and be left alone. I listened to Kevin Samuel's whole thing about the bonnet when women come on and, you know, they turn the light on and Kevin like, oh, Lord, the bonnet, and he plays the music. And, but they're in, look at the time of night, Kevin. I mean, you call your show is talking to people who are in their bed and they never know when they'll get picked. Okay. So not everybody's going to be put together to be on Kevin Samuel. So, you know, he's about to roast you real quick. And if you choose to wear your bonnet, be prepared to be roasted on his show. But when you go out and about, your countenance means a lot. How you're moving means a lot. And if somebody sees that, you know, this woman has 3 or 4 bags of groceries and she's trying to do all this stuff in her bonnet, brothers, please step up and help. Just saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well said. Well said. I'll go here too. So, and I like the fact, I like you use the word countenance. You don't hear that word used a lot. So one thing I didn't think about, like you said, is the entire picture. I think that when Monique said that, you know, what comes to mind in a lot of people is, okay, the woman has on a bonnet, but there's a bonnet attitude as well too. So so you get a whole package of what may not be deemed socially acceptable, for lack of a better way of explaining it. But like you said, you do have to look at the whole package. So whenever we go out, we are always carrying ourselves a certain way. Now, I wholeheartedly agree that anybody, male or female, should be able to wear whatever they want to wear out in public. By the same token, we do live in a society that has all kind of standards and double standards. So one must also be prepared and be to, you don't have to accept or agree with, be prepared to receive certain type of attention reciprocated back to you, or not reciprocated, but bestowed upon you based upon how you present yourself. Like, for example, and JR put this in the chat. This is something I was comparing it to also. A guy wearing a do-rag out. When I was in college, I used to wear do-rags that would match my shoelaces and stuff like that. I'm 20 years old, thinking I'm, you know, swag, thinking that swag and this drip, as the young kids would call it. But once I hit a certain age, I think it was like 21, 22 at the oldest, I was like, I'm not wearing a do-rag out anymore. That's just not how I want to represent myself. Is it bad to wear a do-rag out in public? No. But if you do wear a do-rag out in public, you're going to receive certain type of reactions or attention from folks. Again, not saying that you have to do something or dress a certain way to please somebody else, but just know that you are presenting yourself in a certain way and people are going to receive that a certain way. I personally, right now, at my age of 40, choose not to wear a do-rag out, even though it will be comfortable and it'll keep my, you know, my waves are fleeting, but the little waves I have left, it'll keep those intact. But I choose not to wear a do-rag. But yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Zoe. There are levels to it. It depends upon what else is going on with the package. You know what I mean? But I think that a bonnet mixed with an attitude or, you know, some standoffishness would kind of rub people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, people are entitled to do whatever they want to do. If you do have a mission on trying to attract certain energy or certain types of people while you're out there, then you do have to proceed accordingly. But if you don't give a damn, you don't give a damn. So it is what it is. You're not here to make anybody else happy. So that's kind of my initial take on it.
Very good. Jeff, I think you hit a lot of points there. And I echo a lot of those same points. JR was mentioning is the do-rag, the male version of a bonnet. I think it is. In this day and time, it is, you know. And just to start off, like Jeff said, you know, you grown, you can wear whatever the hell you want to. You know what I'm saying? Just understand that when we talk about bonnets and do-rags, bonnets signify the possibility of certain myths.
Yeah.
You gotta understand that. You know what I'm saying? So ladies, when you go out in public with the bonnet on, you basically, if you're single, right, and you're dating, basically when you meet a man while you're rocking that bonnet, you have to dispel that certain myth, depending on what kind of man you're looking for. Because there's a lot of dudes out there that really don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they see you with that bonnet on, walking in the street. They probably, you know what I'm saying? They probably, in most cases, I'm going to say probably not. If you're a high caliber woman and you're looking for in demand type of man, most of those in demand type of men are not looking for a woman that's wearing a bonnet. But there are some wise men out there that won't judge a woman for wearing a bonnet, but you have to engage in a conversation to kind of dispel what they already might, perceive about you wearing that bonnet. Once again, you can wear whatever you want to wear. Just understand that, we live in a very judgmental society, especially America. We are very judgmental. You know what I'm saying? And before you even meet somebody or have a conversation with them, what's the first thing you see? Their appearance. So if a woman is wearing a bonnet and she's trying to meet a high-valued man, he's going to make a judgment with this high-value mentality based on how she looks, and especially how you can tell a lot by a person by, what they have on their head, what kind of, what they have on their feet. You know what I'm saying? You could tell a lot about a person, but at the same time, like I said, there has to be a level of wisdom and understanding. If you're a person that understands working, grinding, hustle, then you can kind of look past, a woman wearing a bonnet, or maybe even a guy wearing a do-rag. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that person, like you said, is just running out to grab something or whatever. Just understand that there's a certain speculation that comes with that appearance, and particularly the bonnet and the do-rag that you have. On me, obviously, I don't need a do-rag. Back in the day, I did have those wavy waves, but I would take my do-rag off, even when I was in high school, because I was probably the last time I really had some legitimate hair on my head. In high school, once we made it to our tournaments or whatever, if I was getting off the bus or whatever, I took my do-rag off because I wanted to present myself with a certain esteem. And I always thought it was kind of tacky for brothers to be out there, rocking do-rags as a fashion statement. I just, I really didn't think that was something that was attractive. But then once again, it just all depends on what kind of person you're trying to attract. But we're talking about high value here. High value men and women, they look at those sort of things. And in most cases, they're not looking for somebody, that's coming outside with a do-rag or a bonnet on. So that's my thought.
Only thing I'll say is, and I'll make it quick, you are the way you look at first glance. So if somebody's going to look at you and judge you off of that, you have to be okay with that judgment. If you are okay with that judgment, you rock whatever you want to rock.
Like that.
I think my bonnet is, I'm off the clock. I am not a doctor. I'm not a mother. I'm not I'm off. I'm free for a few hours to just focus on the things I need to do. The bonnet for me symbolizes that I'm off the clock. It's not a space for me to have to be presenting I don't have to present an image during those times. I literally am sometimes surprised when people still try to talk to me in the bonnet. It's almost like my armor, and Kevin Samuels talked about this, about how Black women don't even smile. And how angry we present ourselves. And there are times when I've literally gotten cussed out for just existing. I'm in my head thinking, okay, what's my passcode to get onto this app on my phone? My thumb is not activating, and then I look up and it's like, you didn't hear me talking to you? You think so it's like,
whoa,
that happens quite a bit. Women we're not necessarily, we're on guard. It's very exhausting, especially if you're an attractive woman. You are on guard all the time. You're either insulted for thinking you're stuck up, or you're disliked by other women. And sometimes it's being approached in a way that's just like, okay, how do I diffuse this? This person is getting a little too close to my personal space. And so it is very tense. And when you leave your house, I grew up y'all hear me talk about Jamaica all the time, but there are women who are sometimes just, kidnapped just because somebody saw that woman and was like, I want to have her. At the end of the day, I feel like when I put my bonnet on, I feel like I bet nobody will talk to me in my bonnet. I could just go out here to this place and I'm free. I'm just worried about myself in this little bubble. When I want to talk to somebody, I'm very appealing. I take off the bonnet and I'm smiling. I'm like, hi, how are you?
What's up?
But the bonnet is I'm off the clock. Okay. I just need some time. I've been at work with the monkey suit on, and is that appropriate? Can I say that anymore? It's 2020.
Absolutely.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you code switch. So now you're at work, you're in that suit on, and you're putting on this facade, and especially for me, I speak 2 languages, so I'm all on, and then I'm home, and I just want to be free to run and do my errands. So the bonnet for me is my symbolism of Black woman freedom.
Let me take this to another angle here. That the main point of this here. See, the main part of the bonnet gate or all these discussions going on is about dating, though, right? So I understand what you're saying, Zoe, about how you put your bonnet on, like, hey, that I'm doing me, I'm doing shopping, things of that nature. But a lot of the women who are giving backlash want to wear their bonnets a lot more than just what you're talking about. We're talking about regular day-to-day activities. We're talking about dating. We're talking about interacting with other men. And then how men, like John was stating, about how we see that visual appearance when it comes to high-value women and men, how the first thing you see, that's going to make a man turn left field. Sometimes I know you're saying that by you being attractive, you may say, hey, I get hot all the time, but you're using anecdotal evidence for someone who is very attractive, which you are right now. What about the tons of other women who are 4, 5, and 6? Let's keep it 100 here. We about numbers. I am real about my numbers. I can admit if I walk out the door like no shower like that, I'm maybe a 5 or 6, not just about my 8. When I clean up. What's wrong with being honest? No one is a freaking 10, people. Let's just kill this notion. Unless you are Rihanna and you want Vanity Fair and you are making millions on cover shot photos, no one's a freaking 10.
In 2021, are people still hollering at each other in the streets? Because we had the whole mask gate, so you couldn't see anything but like this. And then,
but masks is over now, though. So people mask like I know
the masks are over and folks are out.
Yeah.
But my thing I always say is, I've been to weddings where people met each other at a truck stop, and a man saw a woman struggling to get into a car, didn't even see that woman, just saw the back of her, and came up and hollered. Like, people are drawn because of various reasons. Now, in terms of going out and dating, I think that I always say you're trying to attract that which you are, right? So if I'm out and running my errands, and that's when I wear my bonnet, but if I want to just defy all of, I want to be me and I want to embrace me, you're going to attract that. So you're going to attract the guy who may also be rebellious. Like, man, look at her in that bonnet. I'm going to holler at her. She is on, she do her, I do me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I always say, when I listen to the women who are on these shows, like Kevin Samuel's show and in Clubhouse in the relationship rooms, what I keep hearing over and over are people who are somewhat stressed in this process, right? So we hear the statistics and we hear how few options are available for Black women, and Black women are saying in mass, where are the men? They're not hollering at us. They want other people. I can't find anybody. What about me? And I say, if that is the thing that keeps happening to you, then you may need to think about your bonnet a little bit differently, because you're saying I'm off the clock, right? You're saying I'm going to do me. Well, then this is the track record you have. Change some things if that is your track record. Now, I can go out of my bonnet because I'm off the clock, but if I take my bonnet off, I can meet people in different circles because I move in different circles. And, once again, you attract that which you are. If after a while you can't meet anybody, go to therapy. It's you. It's you. We can no longer say it's the Black man, the man don't want me. No. At a certain point, we have to stop and say, either I am going through the same cycle, and trauma is familiar, right? So what happens to a lot of women, and I can speak to this because I do women's health, trauma is familiar, and there's a certain level of comfort in the dysfunction because that's what you know. It feels like home. And so what women will do is keep going through that same cycle and not stop and say, hold up. This is my 3rd relationship that has ended at 9 months and dude has ghosted me. What is the common denominator here? Something's going on with me. We're not doing that. What happens is women are quick to just go on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. The common thing is, we're not going to work through this. I'm just going to move on to the next one.
Let me add too, Zoe. You bring up some great points. You move on to the next, or like I said, we are 4 men here, so I'm glad we have you on here. But a lot of women say men ain't SHI, you know what? You know, and here's the thing: bad behavior is bad behavior. There's bad dudes everywhere, no matter the race and demographic, right? But the problem is that we don't have everybody looking in the mirror. And so when you was talking about numbers, right? And I was bringing about most guys, you say, well, holler at you, but how many guys are really hollering at every single woman at Bonnets? Because let's keep it real. There's 2 million more Black women than men in this country who are available to date and get married. So if you already present, we're bringing straight to dating. I'm not trying to be comfortable. If you're talking about the straight dating, and if there's 2 million more women than men, you're already disqualifying yourself from men that you want to be approached. If you're literally trying to be out in the streets, or you're literally actively doing this, and you're saying, I just want to be comfortable. It's one thing I'm just going to the store. It's one thing when women saying, I'm like this all the time. And then there's just less numbers of you out here. And then on top of that, Black women are only marrying at 1 out of 4 clip now compared to the civil rights era when our parents were marrying at 87% clip. So women are not marrying as much, and there's not as many men out here. And then you're presenting yourself at a lower than standard when you say that you want a boss and you want a baller.
And then, okay, so here's one thing I want to touch on with those numbers, right? So there are some aspects of it that are skewed. One, we're not allowed as teenagers in the Black community, and I'll generalize, but we're not allowed to date at 13. These young girls, when I was 13, nobody told me that, mom and dad didn't get together with their friends and say, hey, we got 2 kids that are the same age. Didn't it be cute if they go on a date together and we could just drop them off at the movies? We weren't taught to date. We were taught to you fast, all these terms. If you get caught with leaving a boy's phone number, our parents taught us girls were socialized to be good girls and to not be interested in boys because boys are trouble. And remember, we're learning this at our formative levels, right? So now that's why the whole ain't SHIT part pops up, is because we're already that's set stage. Dads are saying to their daughters, these boys are trouble. These boys ain't good. Stay away from boys. No. The early years should be an opportunity to be guided through dating. When I got to college and I saw how some of my peers, now remember I didn't go to HBCU, I went to private white university. I saw that they had memories of dating under parental supervision. I was, when did this happen? Our parents would have never. And so we are struggling to learn how to date into our 18, 19, 20, when some of our peers have already had an idea of how to handle themselves with a boy when they go out. Who should pay? The boys are being trained. This is all under supervision. Some parents will take their kids out on these little cute dates where the parents go and then the kids are there and they're all on dates. So we don't get opportunities to date. Then when we get to college, we're taught, get your degree because the whole family's waiting on you. Black girl, got to be strong. You got to fend for yourself and come back and help us all and save the family. And so there's no room for us to learn to be vulnerable and to learn to say, let the Black man show me what he can do, because we're not taught that in our households. So now we get into our 30s, as Kevin Samuel says, when you're over 28, you're in the danger zone. We get into our 30s and now we're taught, okay, get your career, get your money, because if you got your money, these men can't take anything from you. And now what? Men don't care about all your degrees. Men don't. I have an MD, and that has never been an attractive thing. Sometimes this is a thing that I have to explain away. Well, although I'm a doctor, I'm really nice. Oh, no, so it's almost like a detriment. Nice. But it's real hard for Black women. We feel in a lot of ways, and I can say we because I have this conversation, Black women feel like I did what I was told to do and I don't get the reward at the end of the day. That's a big part of how we're cultured.
That says a lot. That says a lot. So yeah, because starting at a deficit, starting at a
deficit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, too. So what you said though, when you get to your 30s, that's when Black women start really want to date and want to have kids, want to have 3 or 4 kids. That's asinine. Men can have babies and have kids. We 80 years old till we freaking croak. But women have a clock. You being a doctor, you can explain that to women. Like when you get to a certain age in your early 20s, you should be thinking, hey, do I really want 3 or 4 kids, or I'm going to focus on this here? What happens? We focus on the career. Then we say, okay, let me get my man and my kids. You can't get 3 or 4 kids unless you plan on adopting, or only going to have one, or going to be compromised with a man who may want more kids, but you only give him so many. There's so many ladies that when we just prolong the progress, and then once again it goes back to when you're 40 and you ain't, and it's like Black men ain't in all these F boys. I'm not saying that there's bad behavior on us, but there's things we got to look at the mirror, and there's this elongated window that think we have forever to do things we don't. Time is not infinite.
And I blame our culture in America, because I grew up in Jamaica and here. When I was in med school, I had my eye the whole time. I'm in the book, but I'm like, ooh, okay. And I made it very clear, I am looking for a husband too. I'm getting this degree, but I'm getting this husband too. And because the thing is, no matter what degree I had, at the end of the day, if you're a pharmacist, now I can relate to, I know my Nigerian women can agree with me, my Jamaican women, Caribbean women. You could have all the degrees. You go back home, they're like, so where your husband? Oh, no husband. Oh, Lord. Who are you? What suffering? No matter what the educational level, not having a husband in certain cultures is you being a failure. So even though I was in school getting my education, I was still looking around. And if somebody wasn't it for me, I didn't waste time. So a lot of women invested their good years. I call these their good reproductive years. Whether they're waiting on the baller to go pro, or they're waiting on somebody to come back and holler at them and take them seriously in the off again, on again relationship, a lot of women waste their good years. So I always say, it, as Common says, it don't take all day to recognize sunshine.
Yeah.
You really don't need to stay in a relationship for 6 years for somebody to commit to. We've wasted so much time. I listened to a Clubhouse conversation where a woman was on there lamenting in one of the rooms about how this guy, he could be so good. And I'm like, that's potential though. That's not what he is. He could be good, but he's not being good to you. Move on. Don't waste your reproductive years. If that person wants you, they'll commit, and he'll commit to the next woman and wasted 4, 5, 6 of your good years. So I think in a lot of ways, once again, we're not taught to date young, so we don't learn to discern, oh, he's not for me and he's for me. We just want to clutch on to somebody to be with somebody at a certain point. We are told these numbers. Listening to somebody tell you only 1 in 4 Black women will get married sounds to us like when they do the burglary, 1 in 4 houses will be broken into. Everybody goes and gets the alarm. It makes panic.
So
every day,
we're not getting married though.
We're not, but I'm saying psychologically, imagine if every day that's what you heard. So when you finally meet a Black man, this is what some of my friends do. They interview that man. Now that Black man is under pressure. Now he's just like, okay, how are you? Look like a nice girl.
How getting interviewed though?
It sounds like
it's a job.
But I'm saying the way that the interview happens, it's like an HR interview. Like, tell me what your goals are.
Black women interrogate us.
It's interrogation because the thing is,
boom.
We're under stress. We're under stress because we're being told every day only 1 in 4.
So are we though?
Do you all think some of this is rooted in going back to late 70s, early 80s, the crack epidemic that put a lot of us in jail, broke up the Black family, broke up the Black household. Black women had to fend for themselves. Lots of single parent households born out of that. You know, the Black woman having to make ends meet, having to do everything independently. Thus, I don't need a man, et cetera, being born out of that. Do you think that fractured that and created some of this disconnect that there is? Because it seems like, and I can't speak for other communities, but it seems like in the Black community, when it comes to dating, there's lots of posturing that goes on. It's posturing and jockeying for position and who's going to be the leader. And like, it's so much posturing. It's like, man, like, it's like y'all thumb wrestling just to, you know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, if I was going to say, man, like people, I think these days, and you know, I'm not dating, but I'm also not married. And, you know, I'm in a long-term relationship now, but I think people make it more difficult than it needs to be. I think everything is overdone and overthought at this point. Mm-hmm. Like if you see somebody that you like, I mean, it really should be that simple. I think everything is overanalyzed. Everything. And I think just because we have the access and the ability to analyze everything doesn't mean that we should analyze everything. And sometimes you have to, I think a relationship, a healthy relationship is built on not how much you love a person, is how much you're willing to accept that person's flaws. And everybody has these flaws. And if you have those flaws and you are willing to accept those flaws, that's the person that you need to be with. To me, it's simple as that.
When you talk about the analyzing, right? Like that's a key point, because now I feel like data mining is what's happening. I would 100%. Yeah, I try to show. I'm a little old school because I was raised by an old school Black woman, but I try to show the data because my thing is, if you like me, let's let you see who I am, so we can decide. And what happens is when you talk about posturing, and we talk about also the over analytical part of it, is that everybody's in this role of I don't want to get played. I don't want to get played and taken for a fool. So I'm watching you, and there's all these like check marks along the way before I let you know a little bit more about who I am. That
Yeah.
guardedness is tense. So now
Yeah.
it's not a relaxing experience. It's a
Yeah.
horrible game of chess. It's a game of poker that you didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
And you're meeting the representative for too long. The representative should not be out here 6 years in. You need to be meeting the representative initially, and then you meet the real person. I'm just like, when does a representative go away and the real person show up? But when you
Yeah.
ask the question about the fracturing of the family, if you ever read Willie Lynch's articles, he talks about breaking of the slave. And what he would do is he would get the biggest, strongest slave and tar and feather and beat that person to death in front of
Yeah.
the pregnant women and the
Yeah.
mothers. And what they would do is break the subsequent slaves for them. So you never had to go and do that to all your strong slaves. The moms would say, "Ooh, I don't want you to end up like him. So don't go out here and you be quiet. You hush. You boy, go over there and be quiet." And she has taken that Black man and said, "I love you. I'm going to coddle you. I'm going to keep you close to me. I don't want you to end up this way. So I don't want you to be the one who's going to challenge the system. I don't want you to be headstrong. I don't want you to be alpha, because that could get you killed." So now we end up with a bunch of beta dudes. And now we women are looking for that. But we didn't do that to our girls. We tell our girls, well, we don't want him to get killed, so you will go out front. And we did that since that time period. And it just continues. So now women are the alpha now. And so now women are like, guess what? I'm in my damn bonnet. I ain't gonna listen to you. So now what have we done now? What have we taken now? Our communication is now, we're not even on the same page with the same intentions. So the fracturing of the family just continues to the root of the tree.
Wow, you just blew my mind with that one. You got way more alpha Black women and way more beta Black men. Wow.
Yes.
And by design. By design.
By design. To continue to break the entire structure of what we've been about.
And you can easily extrapolate that to the way Black men are portrayed in media these days. Completely. It's the same thing.
Yeah, the emasculation of Black men.
Yep.
The docile ones are the ones that typically get ahead easier and quicker now.
In fact, when I did labor and delivery, if a woman showed up pregnant with her strong man asking questions, they would screen the woman. They would have him leave, and they would say, "Are you being beaten? Do you feel safe?"
Just because he had a
because
strong
this man
exterior.
showed up, and he would ask, because sometimes women who are pregnant just want to see cute ultrasound pictures. They're not asking any questions.
Yeah.
And the father in the room will say, "Well, I got a question, doctor. Should she be eating this? And can we go here? And can she find a plane?" And he's being attentive. They'll stop and screen a little. And I see this more often because after a while, you don't see that many Black men, because once again, 1 in 4 women, and sometimes they don't, the math doesn't add up. So it's a lot of women having babies alone. And so when you do see a man who's attentive and interested and asking questions and taking that alpha lead, sometimes it looks abusive because we're just not even used to seeing it. And that's truly sad.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that vibe all the time.
Yeah.
I have to be conscious of other people and how they perceive me based upon my presence. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but and that's almost I won't even say necessarily just Black men, but being a Black man, you have to, and especially for me being a bigger Black dude, I'm 6'3", 3 bills, like I have to watch the way that I approach people in situations at all times. I have to walk around with that smile on my face, because if I don't walk around with it, somebody's gonna be thinking something else. Yeah. And like I've had, sometimes I don't really, I have a pleasant demeanor, but sometimes if I'm focused, I look focused. And I had a person last week walk up to me and say, like, "Man, I didn't even want to talk to you right now." And I didn't think anything of it because, I was just focused on what I was doing. And, just off that, they were intimidated. Like, so a friend of mine told me that you have to understand that, being a Black man, that you walk around with people already on edge, and you have to have every interaction with the person knowing that from the beginning.
Right.
And it's sad because you have to almost, you have to neuter yourself. You have to neuter your masculinity in order to your inherent natural masculinity in order to just blend in and not be threatening or not be perceived to be threatening. And that's powerful, man. And that's something that has been built in and placed upon us, from the very beginning. And like working that back around the bonnets, it's the same thing. It's not what the bonnet is, it's the perception of the bonnet. And what people assume comes along with the bonnet is the attitude, like you were saying, Dr. Zoe, is the attitude that goes along with the bonnet-tude. So you have to be you just have to be self-aware. I think as I get older, I become more self-aware about who I am as a person and what my mere existence does to other people. Right. And it's profound when you get to that point and you start realizing, like, man, my vibe can completely alter everything that I'm around if I choose to make it do so.
Yeah. And I have a totally different. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's almost like I feel like sometimes like I'm a big stone in a moving river. You know what I'm saying? The water is just going all around me. But here's the thing: if you in that river and you find yourself needing to hold on to something, I'm that stone that you can grab onto. And a lot of people don't know that. They just see you as that big stone, and that water has to move around you. So, man, I can relate to that big time.
That's so profound too. And even on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm obviously a black male too, and I get like, and I know it's because of my skin tone and my general disposition. I don't have the same issues that you have, JD. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about how I'm looking at my face and stuff like that, because people, generally speaking, at least I don't see that type of reaction, get scared or put off by me. And I know, like, for example, for those that don't know, I'm an actor, and and I typically do a lot of industrial and commercial work, and I always get cast as the doctor, the engineer, the lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's because I have that look, and I know it is because of my demeanor, the fact that I wear glasses, the fact that I'm probably most likely lighter skinned plays a big role in that too. And it's just crazy how how that literally plays into it. Yeah, Chuck, I'm light skinned. And I never get that. I'm in the room and I'm the quote unquote, potentially the angry black man in the room or whatever the case may be. That's something, man.
Hey, Jeff, the question you posed about the crack epidemic and the issues that we had here, I want to chime in on that too. And also I want to ask a question to Zoe as well. Everything that you said, Zoe, I agree completely what you were saying there. And I want to add to the issues that maybe we had in our community, maybe in the 60s, as far as like the problems we have with women and men. Do you feel that feminism caused this problem? Because I believe in feminism. I believe that women don't believe the definition of feminism. Let's be honest. Like, I talk to women and I ask them what feminism is, and they don't know what it is. I get across the board. And so the true definition of feminism I believe in, but when the feminism movement happened in the 60s, do you believe that black women need to join that movement? That's a loaded question. I gave two loaded questions there, but women do not understand feminism. And do you think that probably caused the problems that we have too as well with the items that you threw in there?
I think that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that I don't even think that we were taught, to be honest. I think, sometimes I've said this before and people have been like, I can't believe you said that. So I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Say it.
When you are fighting to be seen as a person and not an animal, and a person who has certain civil rights in general, you haven't even gotten to gender rights yet, right? And so I remember thinking of the struggles that the female carries, sometimes that load of just being black and being woman. It's almost like you're facing two separate obstacles, because but some people will say that black women will have it easier because black women could do domestic work when black men had nothing. They had to go sit somewhere and wait for this woman to come home after being a wet nurse, right? And so I often say, when you are of color, when you are black, some of those challenges that white women faced really couldn't help you. That was not your cause. And I know it sounds terrible, but when I'm saying that White men could go earn. White men could go earn. Black men couldn't. During Jim Crow South, a black man could get lynched for having an idea and walking in the wrong direction. So sometimes to protect those men, women would have to go to the forefront to go work and bring the money back to the household. The most a black man could do. There's a great book called Part in the Waters, the King years. It talks about before Martin Luther King, what the community was facing. And being a pastor or a pimp were the only two avenues you could have during that time period in Jim Crow South. So I felt like when the feminism movement started and black women were kind of co-opted into it, it still created a space where that still wasn't our struggle, because we're still trying to get our humanity first. First, you need to be a human, and then, you know, and some people argue with me when they say that, but I say, in your society, if nobody eats, you all die. It's not about man or woman. The family had to survive. And so here it is that we had this struggle of being seen as people and just getting basic civil rights. So when it became a gender thing, I think it created a struggle. But I don't think that was a thing, because I knew that it was a game that in black households, we play a game. Who goes to the front? It becomes a game. But sometimes there's a certain envy and anger in the black man when he tries to go to the front and lead and he's shut down. So now the woman has to go to the front. And the only way he can assert himself is to tear his woman down. So when his woman is able to go to the front and go to school, and she's able to go to night school and be a secretary in the building where he went to a school and became an engineer, and he's never going to get hired there. We see this in apartheid South Africa too. Women could go into buildings and be secretaries and cook in the cafeteria, but the men who had trade couldn't get a job. When those women came home with that money, the only way that man could assert his masculinity and be an alpha male is to tear down his woman. And that woman goes to work and tells the other women, and they're like, girl, no, this is unacceptable. But that's not our fight. Our fight was we couldn't even get our men working. So then our men became subservient to the women, and to dominate, they had to tear us down. So now we have this, we were here and now we're here. And who gets the lead? And remember, we were talking just about dating. We still see that. Who gets the lead in the dating game? It's this horrible mind game that we're stuck in.
It's that posturing.
And it comes from the fact that when your men couldn't work, black women were taught, get out there and feed the family. But that we weren't greeted with thank yous. We were greeted with anger. And the black man who had nowhere to express that anger, expressed it in the household in front of these little kids, and humiliated the woman in front of these little kids. So it's not the same struggle. So when I see the others with their struggle, I often will say, we're not even at that table yet. To eat at this table, we need to at least be seen as people first. How do we get to the table of gender when we can't even get human rights? So that's my answer.
I brought that up because I was watching a couple of documentaries before we started the show here. And one of the main things that was bringing out is the fact that I mentioned the number like 80, we were marrying at 87% clip during the civil rights era. But once the feminism movement kicked in and won the gender rights, we fractured before the civil rights even finished. So we literally saw that divide happen right there, where we're 50, 60 years removed now from the civil rights era, and we're seeing ramifications. I know we don't have much time to get into, we got to have another show.
Yeah, we got to do a part 2 on that.
Part two. I was adding that because does the feminist movement even survive without black women? The civil rights movement was at its peak in 66, 67. And then we had the feminist movement, and we were striving as a family, as a community. Black women needed their black men and vice versa. We were growing as a community. And then what happened when we were fraction splintering what we have today? So I'm saying the things like, wow, this is a lot of, when we go back to Bonnets here and the representation here, I know we got to bring it back full circle here, is what we see and what we're presented with and what we want. And we are fractured as a community. One side is men is saying this is what we want here, and women is saying another thing and what we want here. And the thing is, we can't find a common ground to come to the middle because we're not hearing each other sometimes.
And I think that, you know, I always, when I'm a kind of thinker of, I see problems and I think of solutions. And I think if we focus on our goals towards wealth acquisition, right? We struggle with the wealth because we're fractured. And so you have a lot of people individually living in the highest tax brackets, giving this money to the IRS. I'm just like, listen, back in the day, survival was key, and folks got married with a string. Slaves used to just tie a string on each other's fingers, and they said, look, our best survival is together. Let's get this together. Well, if we go back to that thought process of, we are not seeing the same wage, we're not seeing the same opportunities, we're not communicating, we're not raising our kids jointly, and we make an effort to treat each other with some grace and say, yo, I'm gonna try to do this by this sister. There's gonna be some things I need to do, and I'm not saying it just needs to be, let's say you want to step outside of your race and date. The fact is, we kind of have to look at it as, in terms of wealth acquisition, we need to get together. We need to get together soon because we're lagging behind. We are constantly, right now, I'm a physician, I'm telling you, 2 paychecks away from poverty right now, because it would all come crashing down. The loans need to get paid, the mortgage, the kids. I tell people all the time, wealth acquisition is why we need to stay together and why we need to make sure we're still looking at the bigger picture and letting go some of the petty things, the friends, the going out and kicking it despite the disrespect that we dole on each other. Think about your coins and remember that sometimes. Think about your morals, your principles, but think about wealth acquisition and how we can drag ourselves out of poverty is through cohabitating. Even if it's just, they call it shacking up in the old days, but I'm saying legally cohabitating, figuring out ways to contractually make the money work.
Nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, there's a lot. We got a lot to work on as Black people.
We got work to do.
We got work to do.
I love for the group tonight to answer James's question about, is there a need in today's society to be an alpha male?
Hell yes.
I would love to hear what everybody has to say about that one.
I think men need to be going back to, is not the same exact thing as what Dr. Zoe was saying as far as code switching. I think men need to be able to be versatile. So there's definitely times when we need to be alpha male. We need to stand up, for our family, protectors, etc. And there's times we need to fall back a little bit and lean into emotion more if we're dealing with our significant others or our daughters and stuff like that. We can't be straight alphas all the time. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I don't consider myself an alpha male. I don't consider myself a beta male. I think I'm somewhere in between the two, and I think I kind of go back and forth when the opportunity requires itself. But I know a lot of males who are straight alpha, and that's what they are, plain and simple, all day, every day, 24/7. So,
yeah, I believe you need to be able to call on the alpha male when he's needed.
Right.
as long as you have him in there somewhere, and you can summon him when you need to summon him, then I think you're all good. It's just that some people, some people can't do it. Some people don't have it, and I mean those people tend to get left behind and run over. And I don't think that's what anybody wants. But yeah, like you said, Jeff, I totally agree with you. You need to be able to turn it on and off. Some people can't turn it off. Some people can't turn it on either. So it's just as bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Yeah. In this day and time, it's definitely needed. That alpha side, how you guys presented it is facts, man. You gotta know yourself, period. Whether you're an alpha or beta, you gotta know yourself, you gotta know your lane, you gotta know your role. Yeah. Exactly. Accept it. And I believe in using the positive side of everything. So when it comes to being an alpha male, we need that in today's society, especially to speak up, to represent, to protect, to serve, to be that everything that's needed as a representation or as a front for the culture. Not even just for the culture, but period. Just because we're in 2021 and we got a Black woman as a VP, there's still a lot of injustices out there. I'm not saying that any other kind of male can't speak up for that. But alpha males, the ones that I know, the alpha male in me, we get things done. We speak up, we represent, and we shut things down when they need to be shut down too. So it's definitely a need in this day and time. And folks need to remember that and not forget that. But everybody plays a significant role. Without betas, there are no alphas. You know what I'm saying? And so vice versa, and one doesn't make the other less or better. We just need that.
Last words, Dave, and then we'll go to Dr. Zoe.
I want to bring this back. We doing a 1 hour show. We need to do a 2 hour show.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my last word. Next time we need to do 2 hours. I know
this is a good topic.
I know we got work constraints, but we gotta do like
after show and really get to the.
We're just gonna go straight through. We go to the 9 o'clock hour, the 10 o'clock, whatever you Eastern, whatever. Just keep
that is true. That is true. And then Zingo just got to cut us off when they cut us off. So
yeah, do what they gotta do.
Yeah. Dr. Zoe, please tell the audience how they can get in contact with you.
So you can find me online at Mus Clinic on all platforms. And www.musclinic.health. But yeah, at Mus Clinic. Find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been providing us with a wealth of information. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode. Please be sure to follow us on social media by searching for Jump Off Live, and we'll see you next week. Peace and love.
Thank you.